There's a lot of traditional sites associated with Jesus, but some think that there's one that is absolutely certain, and there's a cave right there at Gethsemane. And Gethsemane means olive press. And it's John that says that takes place in a garden. But the synoptic gospels just say it's olive press. He went to the olive press.
Can you just give us a summary or a thumbnail sketch of Jesus' last days on earth from Monday to Sunday?
Yes, I think that meal in Bethany was on Sunday evening, and then the next day was the so-called triumphal entry, where he comes into Jerusalem. He looks around in the temple, Mark says, and then he goes back to Bethany. He comes back on Tuesday morning when he does the cleansing of the temple. And so that's a major event there. The cleansing of the temple. And then on Wednesday is the day of confrontation, where the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the Herodians all come to him with those serious questions on Matthew 22. And then Matthew 23, the really strong condemnation of the Pharisees and the scribes takes place. That's a major thing. And on a Wednesday afternoon, he leaves the temple, as I said before, and he goes up to the Mount of Olives and gives the Olivet Discourse on a Wednesday afternoon. Now, here's something else. Everyone knows who's read the gospel where Jesus was on Thursday evening. He was in Gethsemane. I'll get back to that Garden of Gethsemane in a minute. Everybody knows that. But what it says is, the Gospels say in a number of places, he was at Gethsemane because that was where he went to be previously during the week. He would go out to Gethsemane. So at least from Wednesday night, he stayed in Gethsemane. And that is how Judas would know where to lead the temple police to arrest him, because Judas had been with him in Gethsemane at least on Wednesday night. So he knew, I know where he is. And so when Jesus dismisses him on Thursday evening, he goes right to where he has arranged with the temple police and says, I know where he is. And so he took them on Thursday evening to Gethsemane. It's interesting, Matthew, Mark, and Luke do not use the term Garden of Gethsemane. As a matter of fact, the actual expression Garden of Gethsemane does not appear in the Gospels. It's just Gethsemane, and Gethsemane means olive press. There's a lot of traditional sites associated with Jesus, but some think that there's one that is absolutely certain, and there's a cave right there at Gethsemane, large enough for 12 men to get into, and it would have provided a shelter. And so that cave of Gethsemane, olive press, they've even found the remains of water installations and a possible place where the beam for the olive press would have gone into the wall. And so, and I've had people, scholars from Oxford, say that this cave was probably Gethsemane. John does mention a garden. So Jesus leaves the cave, he takes Peter and James and John, and they're out under the olive trees. Yes, there was a garden there. And that is where Judas says, I know where he is. I know where he is. See, another thing, and please interrupt me if I'm just going on and on and on.
Well, so I want to clarify what you're saying. So you're saying Gethsemane is not a garden like we think. It is likely a cave that used to be an olive press. Okay.
Gethsemane is a cave, but it says he leaves the cave and goes out a bit where he prays. And it's John that says that takes place in a garden. There's a garden outside the cave, okay? So I mean, you can still talk about the Garden of Gethsemane, but the synoptic Gospels just say it's olive press. He went to the olive press. They slept at the olive press. Okay, so that's Gethsemane.
Yes.
So Judas knew where he was because I think Wednesday night he spent the night with Jesus in that cave. He knew exactly where they was. Now, why such a secretive thing? Why didn't they arrest him during the week? Again, this is something maybe I have to contribute here. How did he get away with cleansing the temple? What it says, the common people heard him gladly. The common people actually liked what Jesus did in cleansing the temple because those guys were ripping these people off with overcharging for the sacrifices, with charging a huge service fee for the exchanging of the money for the temple tax. So they, as Jesus turned all of this over and said, "You've made my Father's house a den of robbers," they said, "Go on, Jesus." And it actually says the common people heard him gladly. So they couldn't get at him. They had to get at him in a secret time. And that's why Judas did that. I know where he is. I was there with him at least one night, and I can take you to him, and there won't be crowds there. So that's some of the, I think, fresh looks at the things that take place in Passion Week that I like to share in the book.